It's 9 o'clock in the morning. My name's Chris Gosling. This is Felixstowe Radio on 107.5 FM. You can text us on 01138590690, starting your messages with FXR. You can reach us via email studio@felixstoweradio.org.uk. Today, Wednesday morning, it's time for Felixstowe on Felixstowe. Let's start the party running with Itchy Coo Park. I love it. Well, here we are again on a Wednesday morning where we're looking at local things, local news, local events, local interest, I guess, really. And what we're trying to do is look at the way our town works, with politics, with people, with news, with interest. We actually planned to go along this morning, or we thought about going along this morning, to the local town council. There is a planning meeting in the town hall at about 9:15 a.m. and probably around 9:30, I imagine, the town council is going to decide whether to recommend or not recommend the filling in of Felixstowe's boating lake. I think it's quite sad, really. It's sat there empty for 3 or 4 years, and this morning when I was finding out, or trying to find out, what people like and find interesting, I heard from a man called Carl Erie, nice guy, on the Carnival Committee and all sorts. He said, well, let's just get it filled in, for goodness sake. It's been an embarrassment to our town for years and years. If you've got a comment to make on the filling in of the boating pond, the boating lake, get in touch. You can find us on the Felixstowe page on Facebook. That's the easiest way to get in touch. And you can also find us via felixstoweradio.org.uk and listen to what we're talking about today. I would love to have your comments on what's happening locally. What happened last night in the big storm? Well, I have to tell you what happened last night. I hear is a few trees were blown down. Haven't yet so far heard of anything much else worse happening, but a kind lady called Dawn has been in touch, and she's put a picture on the Felixstowe News Facebook page showing a tree down in the park. My goodness, must have been a big old bang, that one, folks, and I hope no one was out there. Looks as if it didn't do any damage. Looks as if it just fell down and created a bit of a moment of excitement, I suppose you could say. But so far we haven't heard of anything much happening in Felixstowe from yesterday's big storm. There is a little word that apparently some containers had a small collapse in the port area, but as usual the port doesn't really say much about what goes on, and we haven't so far seen any pictures. If there's any dockers listening who'd like to send us a snap of some blown over boxes, I'd love to see it. You can find us on the Felixstowe News page on Facebook, or on Felixstowe on Facebook. Good heavens, I'm getting my words tangled again. And let's see what you can show us. I'll be fascinated to see anything interesting that turns up. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, we have got today going on in the Town Council chamber this morning at 9:15. There is a planning committee meeting for Felixstowe Town Council. If you don't know how Felixstowe Town Council's planning function works, you're welcome as a member of the public to go along, and we'd love to hear your experiences if you take a little while to do so. You don't even have to stay for the whole meeting. You can turn up part way through and leave when you like. They actually, strictly speaking, the council actually should be keen to see you, because they want ordinary people like you and me to get involved and to know more about the way the council works. We will be, I hope, in the next week or two doing a bit more about this on Felixstowe. We'll be talking about how local authorities work, local town councils, so that instead of saying, why doesn't my council do this, you'll be able to say, why doesn't that council do this and that council do that, because they all contribute to how the town works. Be interesting to see if you're interested. Okay, what else have we got on the show today? Well, I've got a little personal campaign going. I must sort out my dentures. We've got a little personal campaign going to convert the name. Are you ready for this? I don't know if you'll really like it, but here we go. I want to convert the name of Lidl's to Leedales, because I discovered the other day that quite a lot of the town's great and good really shop there, and I heard that the mayor shops there, for instance, lovely lady, and She goes to Lidl's, and I thought it's getting posh, so maybe we should try calling it something a bit posher. Maybe we should call it Leedales. How do you feel about that? Leedales. We could say Leedales, Leedales. Doesn't that sound posher than old Lidl's? I went down to Lidl's today. I did my shopping at Leedales. That sounds good. What do you think? Let me know. You can text me on 011 385 90690. Start your message with FXR. You can email me, studio@felixstoweradio.org.uk, or you can come through on the Facebook page. That's Felixstowe on Felixstowe. Now, one more thing before I play the next record, and I have another topic to do after that. One more thing, which is a little thank you to the guys on the Big Fry Up for their show, because I quite enjoy it. It's kind of grown on me, it's a bit like a wart. And they gave me a little promo, so I'm delighted to give them one back. Hey guys, I do think your programme's quite funny. A bit strange, but funny. Here we go, we've only just begun. Wasn't she wonderful? I really love that lady's voice, and I tend to play one of her tunes every show, really, because I like her so much. I've just put the lovely Dawn's storm picture, onto the Felixstowe News Facebook page, so you can see it there properly now. It's quite impressive, really. It's a big tree. It looks as if maybe it had gone rotten inside or something, but the storm blew it away. Now, so let's get back to the topic that I was talking about before I went away to listen to the Carpenters, and that was the planning meeting. The planning meeting in the town hall today. If you've got an hour or half an hour or a couple of hours, you could go down and see what actually happens in our town hall for a town council planning meeting. The town council doesn't actually decide any planning issues at all. What they do is make recommendations to the district council, which is the planning authority. Okay, they can say, yes, we think you should do this, no, we don't think you should do this or allow this. But the reality is that, of course, the district council, Suffolk Coastal District Council, they're the guys who make the decisions on planning matters. Quite how that works, sometimes it's intricate. We sometimes think, oh gosh, they're all crooks and stuff, but they're not really. I think them 99.999% of the time there is a genuine sense of responsibility amongst the councillors, and they do their best. Sometimes, because they're doing their best, we aren't going to agree with them. I'm not going to agree with them quite often. You probably won't either. But today, Felixstowe Town Council has the opportunity to say what it thinks about the plan to fill in the boating lake. It'd be interesting to see what it says about 9:30, 20 past 9 or something. If you can get along for an hour, you'll hear what Felixstowe Town Council does when it debates a major issue like filling in the boating lake. What else do we have? Well, we have a couple of other little bits and pieces. One piece that really is, to me, quite important is what seems to be happening down at Beach Station. Beach Station is being gradually and increasingly turned into what looks like a lorry operating base. I'm going to talk about that in more detail after the next record. But the other thing to mention as well is that on Saturday, I think, let me double check and hang on a minute. Heavens, I've lost a bit of paper. Here we go. Yes, on Saturday, the 21st of November, we've got wrestling at the Trimley Dock Club, the Trimley Sports and Social Club, what we used to call the Dockers Club, but I don't suppose we ought to now. We've got a wrestling session there. There's also a wrestling training session in the afternoon. That's interesting. I'm going to do a little bit about that shortly, so that you, if you wish, can get involved in a bit of wrestling. Hey, where's Kent Walton these days? I think he's long gone, but who knows. Okay, so after this record, we're going to look at the Beach Station development in a little bit of detail, although we don't have much detail. At least we've got some responses, and we're also maybe going to talk about wrestling. Hey, do you like wrestling? Tell me soon. Okay, love to hear from you this morning. You're listening to Felixstowe on Felixstowe Radio, where we actually solicit your opinions, your interest, whatever you want to say about local topics. And we've got a few interesting topics this morning. One of the topics that we've just talked about a little bit is the fact that there's a planning meeting today at Felixstowe Town Council, and they're going to determine whether to recommend or not recommend filling in the boating lake to Suffolk Coastal, who have got a plan in to actually fill in the boating lake and say goodbye to it forever. I don't know whether they're going to actually dig up all the concrete. I assume they probably are, to get proper drainage on the area, or otherwise it will turn to a quagmire. Okay, what's next? Well, what's next is a topic at the bottom end of our town, down at Beach Station. Over the past few weeks, it's been quite strange, to be honest with you, walking past or driving past Beach Station. The old Beach Station site has been taken over by a company that's cleared loads and loads of kind of underbrush and rubbish out of the way, made a huge open area. They put up 4 porta cabins, and they're parking trucks on it, and looks as if they're transferring cargoes sometimes, and servicing vehicles on it. So it's an operating base for a haulage company by the look of it. Now, local residents raised this interest with certainly with the town council, and then eventually with Suffolk Coastal. And about 7 or 8 weeks ago, I did a story about it for Felixstowe News. I raised the question with the district council, and the district council came back and said, well, we know about the development happening. We don't know all about it, we know about it happening. And what we know is that there's stuff going on, but we don't seem to be able to get to the bottom of the story. We think there may be an old planning consent for outside storage, but beyond that they don't know anything, and they had trouble making contact with the people because apparently all the guys who were working on the site were foreign of one sort or another. I don't know, someone said they were Polish, someone else said they were from somewhere else. I've no idea. Okay, so at that point, 7 or 8 weeks ago, Suffolk Coastal were getting absolutely nowhere. Now, I had holidays and stuff, and really, I thought we have to give Suffolk Coastal a chance to investigate this properly. But what happened? Well, 8 weeks later, actually nothing. I got fed up the other day, and I thought, well, the people who live down in Beach Station Road deserve to have some kind of exposure to this, so we'll come back and look at the story again. I don't know what the story is. I still don't know what the story is. What I did on Monday was wrote to all the local town councillors, which includes, what's the man's name, Josh Vartan, Peter Coleman, and to Councillor Andy Smith, who's the head honcho chairman of our local planning committee, and also does a lot with Suffolk Coastal as well as a councillor. Wrote to him too, and it all seems to be going on, and nothing seems to be being resolved. Councillor Smith, Andy Smith, said to me he understands the frustration of local residents about the ongoing issues at the beach station, which he shares, he says, but he's unable to comment any further, which is really sad. He's not able to say anything to us, so that's sad too. He confirms that the beach station site is under investigation by the planning department, but no further information has yet come to light. They do have some legal powers to ascertain the situation in cases like this, but he says those powers are slow in process. And the site owner, here we go on a little interesting one, the site owner is not prepared to cooperate as here. Now that's interesting. That means the site owner obviously knows what's going on. They know the local residents are unhappy, they know the local council is unhappy, but they're not cooperating. Now that's really rather bad news. Okay, so Andy Smith says, well, we've raised the query again with the planning team because he's very concerned that the activities are sorted out. He says he's going to check energetically. Get your teeth fixed, Gosling. He's going to check energetically to see what else can be done and what other powers can be brought to bear. Well, there you go. So what's happening down at the beach station site? I mean, if you live nearby, I would love to hear from you. If you know what's happening, I would love to hear from you. I asked someone on one of the local Facebook pages a man called Marcel Keeble, who's got his finger on the pulse of the truck industry locally. I asked him what he knew, and he said, well, he thought it was owned by Felixstowe Logistical Solutions, but they're not talking. They don't want to talk about anything. So there you go. Another transport manager who spoke to me when I was in that area said, as far as he knew, he thought it was owned by a Bulgarian company and would be using this as an operating base. With all Bulgarian drivers. I don't know if that's true either. There's a lot of mishmash chat and talk about it, and it all seems, well, it seems very odd to me why a company would do stuff like this and not actually reveal what's going on, because all it's doing is building up a head of steam, I think, in the local population who really don't like it. If you're a local down at Beach Station Road and you don't like the development at the beach station, let us know on the Facebook page, Felixstowe on Felixstowe, or on Felixstowe News. Love to know what's going on in your neck of the woods, because this is silly. Okay, Dusty Springfield, let's hear from you. Dusty Springfield, that's not a song that we hear very often these days. I used to love Dusty Springfield, she was pretty good. Actually, do you remember Kenny Everett? He liked Dusty Springfield as well, and he used to call her Rusty Springboard. Okay, so we were just talking about the beach station site at Felixstowe, which is being developed as a transport base, it appears, but no one knows whether it's got planning permission or what, really. Including Suffolk Coastal District Council, who are the planning authority. Do you know what's happening? Really happening? Do you know who's involved? Really involved down at the beach station? I'd love to hear from you. You can get in touch with us on text on your phone on 011 385 90690, starting your message with capital letters FXR. You can email studio@felixstoweradio.org.uk, or you can get in touch on Facebook. Facebook pages are Felixstowe on Felixstowe, or Felixstowe News will do just as well. That will get to me as well. And I'd love to know what's really happening down at Felixstowe Beach Station. It would be fantastic if the people who now own it got in touch, but they're keeping such a low profile. You wonder what they're up to, and that just helps to make people suspicious, I guess. Okay, Jumping Jack Flash. Time for a little change of pace now. We're going back to, we're going off our serious topic for a few moments to one that's a bit more fun. There's something coming up on Saturday that sounds highly entertaining. Now, do you remember, dear oh dear, we're going back into the dim and distant. Do you remember Kent Walton and wrestling on a Saturday afternoon? I have to tell you, I was about 17 or 18 when that was on, and I loved it with a passion, and I think huge numbers of people thoroughly enjoyed the wrestling on a Saturday afternoon. I think it was on ITV as far as I can recall. Kent Walton was the commentator. He had a fascinating transatlantic accent. It wasn't kind of American, it wasn't kind of English, it was a bit kind of half and half. And Kent Walton was lovely. He came up with names for the holds, which apparently hadn't previously existed in some cases. And people used to fantastically enjoy their Saturday afternoon watching wrestling on the box for about an hour. There were some fantastic names as well. Jackie Pallow, he was a big-headed blighter. Giant Haystacks, he really did look like a giant haystack as well. Big Daddy, who's, I think his first name, I've forgotten, I think his first name is Marion, which is a male name as well as a female name. There were loads of guys, and there were some really bad guys, oh dear, and some of them you'd think they were doing murder, and then they both got out of the ring, went off to the pub together as far as I know. But on Saturday, the 21st of November, we get wrestling back in Felixstowe, Trimley Sports and Social Club. There's something called DOA, which is, I guess, short for Dead on Arrival. DOA Wrestling at the club, and you're invited along. It's £10 for an adult ticket, or £7 for a child's ticket. Doors are open at 7 p.m. It starts at 7:30. If you want more details, you can find them on www.doawrestling.tk. It sounds like a load of fun, and I have to tell you, if you remember Kent Walton, if you used to love the wrestling, well, you can go along. And if you want to learn how to wrestle, I don't know whether this applies to men, women, both, I guess, who knows. If you want to learn how to wrestle, apparently they are having a wrestling training session in the afternoon. Sounds like something you could go along and break a few bones at if you want. I'm sure it's perfectly safe. It's, I think, for over 18s only. So you can find out more on their website. You'd probably find out more at Trimley Sports and Social Club, and you could possibly go and get involved and have a rather jolly time. I wouldn't mind going to see the wrestling just to see what it's like, and see whether it's as I remembered it. It's a funny old thing, isn't it? Funny old question, things like that. Wrestling, I think, went through a phase of extreme interest. There's the WWF on telly now, which is seriously strange American stuff. But if these wrestlers are good, it might be fun to watch. Who knows? I quite fancy going along. If you go along, let me know on the Felixstowe page. We'll talk about it next week. Or you can let me know on the Felixstowe news page on Facebook. See what happens. Alan Price, don't stop the carnival. Isn't it lovely when you're like, do you know, one of the things that that I like on the programme is that we're starting to get some genuine interest. I'm just looking at the Felixstowe page on Facebook, and I've just noticed that Emma Pickett, Marie Reddings and Francesca Renee Clifton, what a lovely name, I like Francesca. I don't mind Marie and I don't mind Emma either, but Francesca's a bit posh, isn't it? Have liked the Felixstowe page, along with Ross Newson, Aaron Glenier and many more. I'm delighted to see it. But what about your views on the topics we're discussing? One topic that I think is fun, just to make a change, is Lidl's. We love Lidl's, don't we? Do you know, you go in there these days, at one point you went in there and there was hardly anyone there apart from, let's be honest, some immigrants, people who have got used to Lidl stores in other countries, and us posh English people didn't go. But now all us posh English people go. I know the Lady Mayor goes, excellent, thank you for that. I know that quite a lot of other people go to Lidl's, and I think it should be going up market. So I think we ought to have a campaign. What do you think about this? I think we ought to have a campaign to rename Lidl's as Lidl's. Doesn't that sound a lot posher? I'm going to do my shopping at Lidl's. Don't you like that? I love it. Tell me what you think on the Felixstowe page on Facebook. Okay, now I'm going to go back after this next record to that beach station topic, because we're getting nowhere fast with that. No one seems to know what's happening down there. I'm just going to have a look and see if someone knows about it somewhere else, but I have a creeping sensation that they will not. No, they won't. Okay, so I must say, I'm just looking at a conversation which I got involved in this morning, which was about a big bang down at the dock last night, sometime during the night. I suggested it was a hatch cover, and then someone said, of course it won't be, because they're all closed because of the bad weather. So someone else said, it's probably knocking over containers. The wind's probably knocked over some containers. And some nice lady actually said, well, they're always dropping containers down there. Oh, I hope not. What a scary thought. As long as they don't drop one on me or anyone we know, that's fine. Don't drop containers on anybody's, guys. We don't want any accidents down at our dock, and we know what a dangerous and difficult environment the dock could be if people didn't take care, so take care. Okay, well, Lee Dales, do you fancy it? After this, we'll come back and look again at the beach station site. I'd love to have your comments on beach station. What's happening there? Do you live near there? Do you know what's going on? Do you really know what's going on? There's lots of chit chat and talk, but the beach station site is, well, pretty well surrounded by cheap plastic to stop you seeing what's happening. And that looks suspicious on its own. So what's happening down at the beach station? How about the guys down there getting in touch with us and telling us what you're doing? Wouldn't it be nice to be seen as honest, nice people? Hey, it would be one fine day. One fine day. I was nearly dozing off there. What a dreadful thing to do. Okay, so I want to just come back for a few more minutes about the beach station site. Do you know what's happening there? Do you know someone who works there? It would be interesting to actually find out what's happening there properly, because it seems to me that Suffolk Coastal have tried quite hard to find out what's going on there, but they're being blocked. You don't have to talk to them. They've got no legal powers until they take legal action. One of the things that's worth remembering from the point of view of the guys who are setting up a vehicle base there is, guys, you're spending loads of money, and if it eventually transpires that who knows, that Suffolk Coastal takes action against you, you could have to close your whole site and waste all that money. So why don't you just do the right thing and get proper planning permission and let the world know what's going on? It would be nice to be seen as honest, straightforward people. One of the comments that came to us from another transport operator a few weeks ago was that it was owned by some Bulgarian people. Now, I don't know whether that's true either. It's just more of the rumours that are going around Beach Station. If that is the case, well, who knows? One of the things that we noted the other day, or that someone actually emailed to me, was that trucks on the site are from a company called LDP Logistica, which sounds like an Eastern or Central European country. Are they going to start basing trucks there, employing foreign drivers there, when they could be employing British drivers? Who knows? I don't know. It's an interesting question, and I would love to have your views via the Felixstowe on Felixstowe webpage on Facebook, or the Felixstowe News Facebook page, or you could come straight into the studio now in the next 10 or 15 minutes by texting 011-385-9060, sorry, let me start again, 011-385-90690, starting the message with FXR. You could email us, studio@felixstoweradio.org.uk. You can always hear us, of course, on Felixstowe Radio 107.5 FM and online at felixstoweradio.org.uk. Okay, time for a little break. So don't forget, I close the door on Felixstowe in just about 10 or 12 minutes. I'm wondering where my good friend Hugh Vale is. He's next up on Felixstowe Radio. He'll doubtless turn up in a minute unless he's suddenly got turned into a pub or something like that. Who knows? He may have disappeared and decided that it's all too much. No, he hasn't. He's on his way here. But like many people, he's probably suffering with the problems that we seem to be having, or the problems that Abellio Rail seem to be having with getting a train down the track to Felixstowe. It's about 10 miles away from Ipswich, and they don't seem able to achieve it. Why do we have rail companies who can't run trains? I can't believe it. I really can't. And I think I'm joined by a huge number of people in Felixstowe and surrounds who really like to use the train. It's the right thing to do, isn't it? It's a good thing to do. It's green. It actually, trains are pretty green forms of transport. It's nicer and easier than using your car. It means if you go to London on business or whatever, you can do it without taking the car out of the garage, get to Felixstowe station, and you are away. And I just can't believe that we have a railway company who don't seem able to achieve the fantastic feat of getting trains from Ipswich to Felixstowe. What planet do we live on, I wonder? I think we may be approaching the planet slightly incompetent. That's my personal feeling. If you're messed up by the trains, I'd love to hear from you on the Felixstowe and Felixstowe page. We can give your message to the rail operators, and you've got about 10 or 12 minutes to do it. Hugh Vale, are you here? I don't know, maybe you're sitting in a bus in a traffic jam in a train replacement bus waiting for something exciting to happen. You probably may be fated to wait some time. Georgie Fame next. Georgie Fame, I thought he was fantastic. Okay, here we go. Tracy Gardner was Dayton. Is that you out there? Another page liker on the Felixstowe and Felixstowe page. Don't forget, Felixstowe and Felixstowe exists so that you can, if you wish, say what you think about the topics we're talking about. Today we've talked about the Beach Station affair. I guess you could call it that. The Beach Station site scandal. When is the Star going to do a headline about that? Okay, because no one knows what's happening down there. The planners don't seem to be able to get to the bottom of it. I'm really very disappointed in Suffolk Coastal's planning powers, I guess I'd say, because they don't seem as extensive as I thought they were. The other thing I did on Monday, as well as writing to 3 or 4 of our local councillors, was to get in touch with the traffic commissioners and ask them what the story was for people starting operating bases in the area. They said that they didn't have a lot of jurisdiction. They said there was a problem because the only way they could get to deal with this company or to look at whatever's happening on that site is if the police or the Vehicle and Licensing Agency, I think it's VOSA, or is it VDSA now or something, if they stop a vehicle and want to know where its base is, and if they do that, then the traffic commissioner is going to get involved and see whether the site is appropriate to use as a transport base. So the traffic commissioners don't seem to be able to help, although I think that Suffolk Coastal maybe should get in touch with them, and they probably have been in touch with them for all I know. Okay, so that's one topic. I would really love to know what's happening down on the beach station site, but above all, I think the local residents would love to know what's happening down on the beach station site. Tell us on the Felixstowe and Felixstowe Facebook page or on the Felixstowe News Facebook page. Love to know what's really happening there, because I think it's a worrying precedent. If people can move on to sites that maybe or maybe not have some sort of planning permission, but not an appropriate planning permission for what they're doing, we need to keep within the rules. I think that's true. I don't know what you think, but I wish you'd tell me. Okay, a group I used to love, Squeeze, Cool for Cats. I'm a bit worried this morning, folks. I am really actually quite bothered. It's the end of Felixstowe on Felixstowe, and I'm now going to tell you what's bothering me.
What's bothering you?
What's bothering me is that Hugh Vale has come into the studio wearing a collar and tie.
Yes.
It's really quite worrying. I'm not quite sure whether he's going to a funeral or something like that. Have I died? No, I'm still here. It's all right. No, he's looking so smart, I can't believe it. I will be back next week with Felixstowe on Felixstowe, as ever, because I persevere. We've got lots more people liking the Facebook page, which is really nice. I'd like to hear more from you. I'd like to get your input on more news and information. See what you think. Tell me what you think. I would love to know. Okay. It's saying goodbye now. I'm off. I'm now going down the pub for a couple of hours. No, that's not true. I wish it was, but I'd probably fall over by 12 noon if I did. So instead we're going to play the shoop shop. The shoop shong. Who said that? From Cher. See you next week. I leave you in the warm but slightly sticky hands, I'm told, of Hugh Vale. Farewell.